Today is designated Women's Day. And while the intention may be good, I sometimes wonder if the name itself misses something important. Because how can you set aside just one day to honor women? The truth is, every day is Women's Day. In 1,000 quiet ways that often go unnoticed, women nurture life, they sustain families, carry wisdom, and remind us of what it means to be truly human. They connect us, not only to one another, but to something deeper, to the very essence of creation itself. So perhaps the real invitation today is not simply to celebrate women for a day, but to remember the sacred feminine that moves through the world every day in many ways. In wisdom, in compassion, strength and love. And when we remember that, we begin to understand why in so many ancient traditions they saw the feminine not merely as part of life, but as one of its deepest sources of wisdom. Before there were temples, before there were doctrines, before religion came to the picture, before men, they wrote rules which suppressed women. Life already knew a secret. The power that creates, nurtures, and transforms the world moves through the feminine. Today on Women's Day, we pause for a moment to remember that ancient truth. In the Gnostic tradition, the divine wisdom of the universe is called Sophia, the living intelligence that breathes through creation. Sophia is not a distant goddess. She's the presence of wisdom itself, the spark that awakens consciousness within the human soul. For the Gnostics, the journey of awakening was not simply about power or authority. It was about recovering wisdom, gnosis, remembering the feminine principle that sustains life. Long before ideas about identity and equality, ancient cultures also understood that the three sacred phases of the feminine. In the Celtic world, they were known as Maiden, Mother, Crone. The maiden, the beginning, the courage to step into life. Mother, the great source of nourishment and protection, the one who sustains the world. And Crone, the keeper of wisdom, the elder who has seen the illusions of power and understands the deeper rhythms of existence. In all our lives we have seen this. We have seen the maiden, we've seen the mother, we've seen the crone. And they encapsulate everything what life is. They all three form the one sacred current. Across other spiritual traditions too, the feminine was never absent. In Tantric traditions, the divine feminine is Shakti, the living energy of the cosmos. Without Shakti, even the highest consciousness remains still and silent. Creation itself unfolds through her power. In Buddhist Tantra, the feminine appears as enlightened wisdom. Figures like Tara, the compassionate liberator who guides beings across the ocean of suffering. And in the mystical heart of Sufi wisdom, love itself often takes a feminine form. The seeker becomes a lover, longing for union with the beloved. And many Sufi poets speak of the feminine as the mirror through which divine beauty reveals itself. You could see it in the poetry of Rumi, Hafiz. And perhaps the sacred feminine is not only something we honor in women, it also lives quietly within men. The feminine within a man is the part that feels deeply, listens patiently, nurtures life, and responds with compassion rather than domination. It is a wisdom that softens power with understanding and turns strength into care. When men learn to honor and nurture that inner feminine, something beautiful happens. the world becomes a little less harsh, a little more human, and a little closer to the harmony that all spiritual traditions speak of. Across cultures, across centuries, the message quietly repeats: the feminine is not secondary. It is essential. Perhaps that is what the Gnostics meant when they spoke of remembering Sophia. Not merely remembering a myth, but remembering a way of seeing the world, a way that honors wisdom, compassion, and the quiet strength that sustains our lives. The feminine is the first cradle of life, often the last keeper of wisdom. She is the beginning of every story and the silent witness at the end. Mother, Maiden, Crone. Three faces of the same mystery. And today, perhaps the most meaningful thing we can do is simply remember that the wisdom that heals the world has always spoken in a feminine voice. Listen to that feminine voice, heed to that call, both men and women, because it lies within you. It's a voice that this fractured world needs so badly. The voice that can set you free and connect you to something larger than yourself. Happy Women's Day to all women and men. Thank you.